It is time to review your pricing when your pricing no longer supports your long-term business objective. In this video, we'll go through 3 simple steps of finding out if it's time to review your pricing. Now, most of the businesses that I work with have their long-term business objective as incremental profits. Furthermore, most of these customers believe that high-value customers are the key drivers for higher profits in the future. Businesses set their pricing and their rewards to ensure that high-value customers are rewarded for that behavior, and some form of enticement is provided for low-value customers to move into high value. Now, most of these rewards and enticements translate into a simple thing, which is less prices for more volume of purchase. What starts out as a very simple tiered pricing solution, such as silver, gold, and platinum, quickly moves into a complex web of pricing where you've got custom proposals, biddings, almost a distinct price for every distinct deal. Now, there are valid reasons why businesses do that, and I totally understand that. Your business may be stopping a customer from churning to a competitor. You may be starting a new branch, say at a different place, and therefore you would like to have a bit of pricing penetration to attract new customers. Or the economy may have changed and you might want to jump in and leverage that change, either to lower the prices or to increase the prices. Regardless of what these causes are, there are valid reasons, and I totally understand how you would look at it that way. However, when you're pulling all these different levers around, pricing sometimes can catch you by surprise, and you might be losing more than you think you are at places you're probably not looking. That brings us to a simple 3-step approach to identify whether it's time to review your pricing. Step number 1, group customers together based on their value for the last 1 year. Now, use the same process and repeat it for the previous year. Now, this will give you 2 sets of data. One for the customer segment 2 years ago, and the other customer segment for the past 1 year. That brings us to step number 2. The second step is to track the change of customers' value over these 2 years. Now, this will give you an insight into how a few customers have moved up the value chain from a low value to a medium, or from a medium value to a high value. On the other hand, you will have a group of customers that have moved down the value chain from high value to medium, or from medium value to low value. Now, pay close attention to these customers who are moving across these different segments, because that brings us to step number 3, which is overlay your existing pricing rewards and enticements on top of this view. Now, if you begin to notice that customers who are moving up the chain are being rewarded and enticed better than the customers moving down the value chain, your pricing strategy is probably doing okay. However, on the contrary, if you notice that the customers moving down the value chain are being rewarded and incentivized to do so, it is time to review your pricing. Now, if it is a simple process, why don't businesses do it more regularly? In my experience working with many businesses across different industries, I've noticed that every business is unique and it has its own challenges. Now, regardless of the challenges that are unique to the business, one thing that's common is most of them have data-related challenges when it comes to going through these 3 simple steps. At a very high level, some of the key challenges that I have noticed are as follows. Firstly, a lot of large business-to-business transactions generally don't happen each year or very regularly, which means some of the biggest players may have come and gone in a year and not be seen the next year. This means that the data is not continuous, and so you can't track the customer segment movement from one year to another year. There is a second major challenge that we come across a lot of times, which is pricing may not be in response to the long-term objective, but sometimes businesses simply have to take notice of what's happening tactically in the economy and respond to it. And so they may see a very high price at some place in time, and sometimes it's just very low. Regardless, these data points that are responsive to the economy generally skew the data as they're outliers. And thirdly, one thing that strikes me very clearly when it comes to B2B businesses is that sometimes their customers, which are also businesses, have their own unique way of dealing with prices and volumes of purchase. And so the business sometimes has to respond to an RFP or provide many quotes or come up with custom proposals many times over, which means that the price is generally not close to what the business wants to, but given the size of the volume, they would have to go down that path. Now, if your business has something on these lines and you believe that you're not fully aware of how to go around fixing that, don't worry, you're not alone. I've worked with many businesses and it's very common to see this. There are ways we can solve that problem. So if you would like to look at your own prices and see if it's time to review your pricing, log on to foi.co.nz to book a discovery call.